we'll do today a little section that I will call Expand Your Can't. So it will be about the various expression that we use in Mobius that is taken from the Thief's Cant. As you might have heard in my previous GM log, there is a lot of lingo that is used in Sigil that uses the Thief Cant. There is a fun little story actually in the story of Sigil that says that the common language comes from Sigil because it is at the center of the universe and a lot of people just kind of mingle and connect and gather around. That's where that language came about. So in the episode itself, we have a couple of words that you might not be familiar with, but I would like to introduce you. The first word is actually in the title. Once again, we have the word jigger or gigger. Both of those way of saying it would work, as you can use both a J or a G to write it down. And this is something that is quite common because just the simple fact that Thief Cant is a cant or a cryptolect. There wasn't often an official way to write things down and not an official way to say things either. As long as people understood each other, that was good enough. A lot of people who spoke Thief Cant or any other type of cant really were people who were not often very educated. Most of them did not know how to write. So there's no official way to write most of these words. So back to the word jigger. Jigger means a door. And what's interesting is as the time passed, people use that word to mean a door, and eventually it's only meant the keyhole, so or a key. But how we are using it, it means a door. That word will come more than once as we are in the city of doors. But yes, jigger to jigger means going door to door. Then we have a word that is not entirely gone from the dictionary. That word is jabber. And to jabber means to chatter or to talk very quickly or even nonsensically. Still in the intro, we have another word, and that word is hummer. A hummer is an obvious lie or a loud lie. Another word that's interesting is the word clammed. So when we're referring to someone who is clammed, we mean someone that is famished or someone that is starved. So there is a list of people when they are talking about the people who frequent the gatehouse, and the people who frequent the gatehouse are the needy, and so the clam is the starving people, as the gatehouse also gives, they have a soup kitchen. The clammed, the famished, do visit the gatehouse. And then in that list, we have another strange word, and that word is clapperdogeon. A clapperdogeon is someone who is a beggar born and bred. So someone who is born in the street will probably die in the street. And clapperdogeon has different way of saying that word. Clapperdogeon is one, but it could also be clapperdudgeon or clapperdogeon. People are not sure what is the actual origin of that word, but some historians say that maybe it could be the clapper. The clapper is the little guard on a dagger. And then you had the little bowl that beggar would use to ask for alms, so donations. And it was said that a lot of beggars would tap their daggers, the little guard, on their bowls to ask for a donation. So perhaps that is the origin of that strange sounding word. But clapperdogeon is a beggar born and bred. And it is meant as somewhat of an insult. So to call someone a clapperdogeon is like you're born in the street and you will remain and die in the street. So those are the words to expand your cant vocabulary. I hope you learned something today. Hello, so this is a continuation of my GN logs. This is for episode 2. So in this episode, we're starting to get mentions of the different factions of Sigil, and the factions are rather important and they will play a major role in the campaign. I don't want to do a deep dive into the faction just now. I do have something that it will be put out, a special project that I want to do on the faction to explain them deeper. But I just want to do a quick little something on 3 of the factions that were mentioned, and they will be coming back. So just that you have an idea of what those are. The first one that is mentioned, because 2 of the players interact with that faction quite often, is the Bleak Cabal, and their street name is the Bleakers. The Bleak Cabal, their HQ is the Gatehouse. The Bleak Cabal is a strange faction. They basically take care of the needy. So they serve food for the people who cannot find food for themselves or do not have the means to feed themselves. So they have a couple of soup kitchen in the hive, but also in the other district. They have the gatehouse itself that has a hospital inside. There's an asylum, there is an orphanage. So it's a gigantic building that can house a lot of people that are in need of treatment. The core idea and the center of the Bleak Cabal is that there is no higher purpose to the multiverse. They're very bleak, it's in their name. If there is no higher fate, you are the only person who can create meaning, and it comes only from you. And you can only find purpose helping others see that there is no higher purpose. And the suffering that other people have, it is because they haven't realized that there is no higher purpose. So that is why they have this place that people can come to heal their body and mind. And so yeah, they believe that the suffering is mostly because people are pursuing things that hurt them. Then briefly mention is the Fraternity of Order. Now, it will take a little while before the crew actually interacts with the Fraternity of Order, but they are also called the governors. And what they do basically is they are in charge of writing down the law of Sigil. They do not decide what the law is, but they are in charge of writing it down, and they handle the courts. Now, how the law is decided is all the faction decide, and then it's on to the governors to write it down remember what it is, and then if a crime occurs, then they handle the court cases. I'll leave it at that for now, but it is a little bit more complicated than that. And then we have the harmonium. The harmonium is the police force of the city. They are easily recognizable. They wear blood red suits of armor, and they are well funded. The city does raise taxes to pay them, and they are well trained, and they have in each district what they call bastions. So it's like a police station, more or less. In the official setting of Planescape, the harmonium is both well accepted, except in some lower districts. They barely patrol the hive. It's too dangerous for them. The hive is a very chaotic district. It has a lot of crime, and they are not welcome at all in the hive. They will patrol the bigger streets where they cannot be ambushed. Other than that, the people are pretty much left to police themselves. That's in the actual setting. In my version of Sigil, I keep that, but I also make the harmonium control the border of Sigil a lot tighter. I have made the division between the hive and the rest of Sigil as if the hive was basically an enclosed town within the whole city. So there are a couple of bridges that go out of the hive. This is heavily patrolled by the harmonium, so almost like a border patrol. And I've put the harmonium in charge of checking identity papers. The whole process that is included in the episode 2 of Mobius is like requesting a day pass, so it is possible to go out, but that whole process, that is an addition to my setting of Sigil. So contextually, with the harmonium is still seen as a very repressive force, and not welcome at all. But they control the people way more. So if you have listened to the second episode, you now know that Inkton has a familiar, and her name is Oileven. And she's not your run-of-the-mill familiar. She's actually part of her. Mechanically, Inkton is a druid, but how we reflavored her is quite wild. She will never actually take the shape of an animal. She is inspired by animal shapes, but she never transforms into one. And it's the characters, it's the player's choice, and I really wanted to foster this player's creativity. And and actually it started with Oileven. In fact, Oileven, like I said, is a familiar, but mechanically she is a servo. We took the ritual spell servo crafting, and we just gave it another flavor. So when Inkton separate a part of her plasmoid body, it takes with it most of the metal bit parts that are floating in Inkton's body to create this familiar tiny version of Inkton, and will behave like a normal familiar. And it uses the stats of the servo, basically. We just gave it another physical appearance, and we just build the story around this other idea that the player had. And I highly encourage you to go with what the players want for their character. You don't have to change the stats for the player. You can take things that are already in existence in the book and just reflavor stuff, and that does not cause any imbalance in the game. Every time that Inkton will change form, she's just taking a beast that already exists, but she just reflavors it so that it works. So the crew make a stop at the grease pit, and I love the grease pit. I love making up food, and in any of my campaign, talking about food is something that I love. So the grease pit, you have to imagine that it is a very, very large area, a bit like a market, but you have to imagine it's also like a food court in a gigantic mall. So you have all of these stalls that sell food from everywhere in the multiverse. And so they're like street vendors, and anyone can find food that they would like. So if you have a plasmoid like Inkton that has some really weird food preference, that's not a problem. She can find something in the grease pit to eat. And we have a little audio clip on our Patreon on brain cuisine, because the player who plays Salik the Illithid assumed that there wouldn't be anything for his character because he eats brain, and of course, who would sell brain? But we're in Sigil, baby. You can find brains. There's no sourcing problems. Not a problem. So we have a whole discussion about what you can find in the grease pit, why brain can be found in the grease pit, and also why beholders are delicious. And it is canon in Mobius. And we have, and also why Xan beholder bread cookies are made with a tiny bit of secret ingredient that is beholder. It's not just shaped like a beholder, it's made with beholder stock. It's great, super good. If you think that's something that would interest you, we will have a whole section dedicated to food, weird stuff, and also actually good recipes inspired by the food in Mobius on our Patreon. If it's something that talks to you, you're more than welcome to join us. And we also have a new Discord if you are interested. So hope to see you there.